So firstly, congratulations for passing your level 2 examinations. And now let's understand, as we move towards level 3, most of the things you already understand. We need to understand as to how the approach towards level 3 exam is going to change, particularly because you have the first session, which is going to be essay type exam. As in, you'll have to write, that is, type out the answers. So that is going to be the predominant change that we're looking at when we move from level 2 to level 3 curriculum, and that is what we want to understand over here. Other than that, most of the things you already understand, and you're very much in the, you have all the information all, but still, let's go through this part. Quite important. So when you're looking at the subjects content-wise, so with respect to, the duration you're going to take in terms of completing the classes, completing the lectures, studying, practicing, etc., it is going to be, I would say, exactly or almost the same as level 2. It is not going to be increasing as such. See, level 1 to level 2, there is a significant increase in terms of difficulty level. Level 1 problem is not the problem, but level 1 the challenge is that it is new. The subjects are new, the concepts are new, call option, put option, everything is absolutely new to you. So that becomes a challenge in level 1, and that is why we take more time in understanding, absorbing the concepts and all, and also then in order to practice. Level 2 becomes challenging in terms of time management. Number of questions are halved, but you take double the time to answer the same number of questions, right? So that becomes a challenge when you're looking at particularly your level 2 curriculum. And also the difficulty level is high, the same subjects are there, concepts you are going to be building upon it. You understand duration, now you apply duration. You learn duration in level 1, new thing, but now you are using duration to analyze and to work around it, or the CAPM model, or whatever be it. Now you are applying all those things. Level 3, what happens is you combine all that you have studied from a portfolio perspective and you look at the application on a real life basis. So content wise, if you talk about duration point of view, I don't think there is much of a problem in terms of duration, because it is going to be very similar to level 2. Although the number of chapters, when you see from level 1 we go down to level 2 from around 60 chapters to approximately 50 chapters, plus minus 2, 3, 4 chapters or so. In level 3 we go down to 40 chapters, but then the length of the chapters increases. The chapters are much lengthier as compared to, not much, it's relatively lengthier as compared to level 2, so that your content is going to be more or less similar in terms of the volume. So your volume of content is going to be similar as compared to level 2. So level 2, level 3 you'll have similar volume of content. When you're looking at the weightages, the subject weightages are going to be changing. So I'll just discuss that first and I'll get back over there. So basically when you look at the subject weightages and all, your ethics becomes 12%. That is similar to what it has been, and it's the same 7 standards. Quants is out, corporate finance is out. So this is a major change. Quants, corporate finance, FRA, you have 3 subjects removed, and you understand quants was a very major chunk when you're looking at level 1 curriculum. Level 2 also it was decently sizable. FRA was a very big chunk when you're looking at level 1 curriculum. Level 2 again, it was primarily 3 chapters plus 2 and all, plus 2 simple chapters, application based chapter. Corporate finance was around 6 chapters or so in level 2. So when you're looking at it, your quants, corporate finance and FRA has gone down. What has increased significantly is going to be portfolio. In fact, equity has also gone down in terms of the volume of content, because level 2 was more focused on equity. Now the focus is totally portfolio. And even when you're looking at portfolio, if I look at equity, fixed income, alternate investments, and in a way I would say economics, but I'm not writing this, you have asset allocation and all those, that is also from a portfolio perspective. I don't want to get into the details of it because I want to discuss the syllabus at length, behavioral finance and everything that you're studying. But the major change that you see over here is corporate finance, FRA, quants, 3 subjects are excluded. That makes the chapters, that makes the syllabus a little less numerical, and it is also going to make it more portfolio and real life application perspective as to how do you design a portfolio of an individual. Or say for example, if LIC is your client, LIC, life insurance companies, receiving a lot of premium payments from all the insurance buyers. Now that premium, that pooled premium amount, how do you manage it in a portfolio? So how do you design the portfolio of a life insurance company? So the syllabus part I'm going to discuss in syllabus lecture separately. So the weightages of subjects have changed. This is a major change. The entire 3 subjects have been deleted. L1, L2, although we had the exact same subjects at least. Difficulty level with respect to level 1. See, level 1, you had new concepts. It was, you were beginning, you were understanding finance, you were beginning to understand the finance curriculum and getting used to with the topics call, put, etc. In level 2, the difficulty level went higher, and now in level 3, the difficulty level is going to be relatively similar to level 2. Level 2 would be more of difficult concepts maybe when you're building up on those concepts in those chapters. Level 3 is very integrated. So there will be a chunk of, let's say, 8, 10, 12 chapters which is like all interrelated. You understand the behavioral finance part, how the investors are and what are the behavioral biases and all. You understand individual investor, their taxation, their risk of individuals and concentrated positions and estate planning and all of that, and designing their portfolio. How is equity? How do you define an equity portfolio? How do you create a fixed income portfolio? From a portfolio perspective, how do you analyze? Alternate investment portfolio. Even when you're looking at subject economics, it is about how the business cycle, etc., are going to be impacting different asset classes. Because ultimately, you want to see the impact on a portfolio. You want to see it from more of an application point of view, portfolio point of view. So the entire curriculum is defined and designed accordingly, where the focus is going to be portfolio. So when I look at difficulty level, level 3 is going to be having a challenge in terms of written answers, the essay type questions part, but otherwise it is not more difficult than level 2. Level 1 had its own challenges because it was new concept and everything. Level 2 because the difficulty level increased. Level 3 because you're condensing, as in you have a lot of interrelationships. But otherwise content is not difficult. You'll rather, most of the students that I've seen is they find level 3 easier, right? And numericals go down. So numericals or formula orientation reduces as compared to level 1 and 2. Level 3 will have less numerical also. We've gotten quants out, and it is going to be less numerical and more application, understanding and applying and putting things together. Numericals are there, but it is less as compared to level 2. It is going to be confusing. And this is going to be, I'll rather put it in red, this is going to be a major challenge. You might feel like you know the content because you know call, you know put, you know duration, you know the terms broadly, but then the application becomes difficult. And also because you'll have to type out the answers in the exam. You do not have, the exam format changes. One half is your item set as it used to be in level 2 curriculum, but level 2 exams, but one half of the exam is written type. I'll come to the exam part. And it's not essay answers you have to write. I'll come to that part. But the retention is going to be a challenge because of that. So you have to understand, you have to be very careful, because also it's not going to be that you won't get questions like define this, define that, differentiate between these, give 2 reasons for this. You don't get school exam kind of questions or college exam kind of questions over here. Everything is going to be analytical. It will be case study based, where you have an item set provided, and based on that you have to answer questions. So that is the reason why it becomes very important, the retention part and the approach and the way you're going to study. And that could lead to confusion, not the topic. The topic is not going to be confusing. Some subjects like fixed income is going to be quite difficult over here. Derivatives and all is still fine. Derivatives is more or less L2 level only. Fixed income I feel is relatively more difficult, and the retention part, so learning has to be there. And because of the interrelationships between a few chapters, quite a few chapters, so that becomes a little challenge. Volume, I've told you it's similar to level 2, so there is not much of a difference over there. With respect to level 1 and level 2, so how much is the curriculum related? So I'll just go back to this page first. So ethics, obviously the same 7 standards are there. Economics, there is going to be a little connection with level 1 curriculum, because when we study business cycles and impact of currency, etc. So how is it going to be impacting different asset classes? So you can't say that level 1, I don't know sales to inventory ratio, I don't know business cycle, I don't know recession and all. So yes, economics, you'll be needing level 1. So anyways, the revision lectures of the previous level is provided to you anyway. So level 1 revision lectures will be given to you. Level 1 and level 2, whatever relevant revision lectures are there, that is going to be given to you. And when you're looking at equity, again you're going to be applying concepts, say for example the how the indices are made, because when we talk about equity portfolio, passive equity portfolio, active portfolio. So in passive active portfolio, you have to understand you have to remember how the indices were calculated, the security market indices of level 1. So market weighted averages there, or price weighted averages there, or equal weighted and all those things. Derivatives, again the basic call put etc. you have to know, because we're going to be building up on that itself, and futures, and then we'll do a lot of hedging and all of that, how to manage, how to increase beta of a portfolio by adding futures and all those things we do. So obviously your beta knowledge, your understanding calls, options, put, futures, etc. everything. Portfolio is going to be relatively new, I would say. So portfolio, apart from that chapter we had done, if you remember, RRTTLLU, risk return objectives, taxation, time horizon, legal, liquidity issue, unique constraints and all. Other than that, portfolio, I think that chapter is going to be just blown up. So asset allocation part, security selection is in equity. So all those things are going to be there in portfolio. Not too much of carry forward, but the basic efficient frontier and all you can't forget. So the revision lectures of L1 is going to be provided, you don't have to worry. Fixed income entirely built on your duration, barbell portfolio, bullet portfolio and all. So the entire duration, all those things you have to be very, very comfortable with. If not, and the cheapest to deliver bond and all those things, if not, revision of level 1, level 2 is done. So don't worry about it. Alternate investments, the basics which alternate investments are, but the chapter I find it a little boring actually. So it is hedge fund strategies is interesting, but and level 2 did not have hedge funds as such. Level 1 hedge fund, now you move to level 3 hedge fund directly. So again, a little bit of hedge fund, you'll have to get an understanding. Again, you'll have to revise your level 1 hedge funds. And along with that, alternate investment is relatively easier. The content is also less as compared to it. So interconnectedness, yes, it is interconnected even with level 1 and level 2, but it is not that you have to get into the depth of level 1, level 2, but the terms and all. So basically all the understanding of the terms and all is retained. Obviously you cannot not understand private equity or a hedge fund or a commodity or a real estate, and the basics is something you cannot forget. Interesting, yes, the content is very, very interesting, and especially I've enjoyed this because always in all the batches, someone or the other is in the markets full time into trading also. So I think, yeah, I've always had a trader in all the batches. So trading also, you know, you're kind of tracking the markets, you're understanding what kind of biases you have done. So AMC people are also there, as in those who are investing in mutual fund, PMS, those who are into investments, equity research. Equity research has also been there always in all the batches. So when you're doing behavioral finance and also the application is there. You know, what kind of mistakes are you making? And then I also start recollecting and discussing, okay, I made this bias with Tata Motors, I'm making this mistake over here. I'm not buying, I don't have any life insurance and all. Why I don't have a life insurance? Then we discuss risk management with individuals. So it is not interesting in a way where you don't have too many numericals, but it is very interesting when you start looking at connecting to things around you. So if you're reading about the markets, not as in stock market alone, but economy, businesses, if you're reading, if you're aware about the surroundings, you will find it very interesting. And if you've started investing yourself, maybe a 500 rupees SIP or whatever, but you have started investing. So when you do all those things, you're going to be finding it extremely interesting. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Not challenge, but you'll not find it that interesting. I mean, you may get a little bored at times because the numerical is less, but otherwise it's absolutely interesting to study. So subjects we've already discussed. Now the exam pattern. So it is going to be computer-based testing. We understand that all the 3 levels are computer-based. The first 135 minutes, that is 2 hours 15 minutes, is going to be essay type. So in that, what happens is basically you have your exam. Let's say the exam window looks like this. You have the item set, the case study provided over here. You can scroll up and down if the case study is long, which normally it is going to be long. And then you have a question over here. And you have to type in the answer. Don't worry about it, because there is a lecture that we do, very important lecture, how to attempt essay type questions. And based on that, how to attempt essay type questions, we exactly discuss how to, while you're studying and practicing, how to learn and what to do for essay type questions. And once you are taking the exam, then how do you attempt the essay type questions? So that becomes very important, because over here, time management is going to be a major concern. Time management is going to be the most important problem over here with level 3 curriculum. Level 1 to level 2. See, level 1, you generally do not have any time management issues in terms of completing the paper. In level 2, you start struggling with time, even though the number of questions are half. But in level 3, in the essay type question, type session, you're going to be having a major problem with time management. So how to manage that time is very important, which we discuss, because you have to complete and you have to attempt the entire 135 minutes worth of paper. So every question will have, you know, it's like you call it marks, you call it minutes, whatever you call it. So one question could be, let's say, 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, let's say you have to tell me that the risk tolerance of this investor is high, above average, below average, or average. So you have to write the answer average, and then you have to explain with 2 reasons why. So the average could carry maybe 2 points, 2 marks, and 1.5 points for each of the 2 reasons, or 3 reasons, and you get 1 mark for each of the reasons. Even if you write just average correctly, you get 2 marks. Even if you don't write average correctly and you write the 3 reasons, out of which, let's say, the 2 reasons are correct, then you get 2 marks. So part marks is there, part marks is provided. But how to write the essay type answers and all, lot of things to be discussed. It's almost a 40-50 minute or a 1 hour lecture, I don't remember. But this is Very important. And the time management is the most important criteria. So even when you people start studying, as in it's not that I'm going to wait till the exam and till the mock test and all. The moment you start studying, when you start practicing, so even if you're practicing, let's say 2 questions, you start noting down the time that you have taken to solve the 2 questions and how to solve the question, how to start timing yourself. Timing yourself becomes very, very, very important over here when you're looking at the computer-based testing, essay type questions, sorry, for level 3 curriculum. The next 135 minutes, the 2 are 15 minutes, which will have again 44 MCQs. So when it used to be paper-based testing, it used to be 60 MCQs. Now it has gone down to 44 MCQs and 3 hours becomes 2 hours 15 minutes. You have around 10 item sets or so on an average and 4 to 6 questions MCQs per item set. Since you've done with your taken your level 2 exams, you have an understanding about this, so I'm not getting into much details. Level 3 item set becomes easier to manage because level 2 practice ho gaya na, you've practiced in level 2, you've understood, you're comfortable with level 2. So level 3 it becomes relatively easy when you're looking at in item set questions, and also because you're struggling so hard with essay time in order to complete the paper. So therefore, and obviously the exams are computer based, you'll have to type out the answers. You don't have to write all the complicated formulas and all. You can simply, if you have a risk-free rate, then you can just simply write RF. You don't have to make a superscript and all. Into beta, obviously you write simply into beta. RM minus RF into beta. So anyways, all these things we'll discuss later in detail when we are discussing as to how to attempt essay type questions, answers, length of the question and how much time to take, how to improve your typing speed, etc. All those things are going to be a part of essay type questions. So this is going to be your exam pattern, your exam format now. So essay type ke liye we'll have to start working towards how to attempt your essay type questions. Less number of questions, so obviously your accuracy level is going to be very important. It is the same as it used to be in level 2. You have 44, let's say 88 MCQs in the item sets in level 2, right? So 88 MCQs, that means even one mistake you make, one mistake is more than 1% weightage. So you can't afford to make too many mistakes. Silly mistakes and all, absolutely you're not allowed to make. So those things become very important. So less number of questions are there, therefore the accuracy, the coverage part, the accuracy part is very important. You cannot do any selective studying and all. Coverage has to be very, very thorough because you have just 44 MCQs from 40 chapters, right? And then essay type is separate. And impact on passing also, because your silly mistakes and all is absolutely not pardonable. Because see, if a very difficult question you're not able to answer, most of the people may not be able to answer. But if a simple question you make a silly mistake, most of the people are going to get correct answer for that. So your focus level and all has to be very, very good. So these things you cannot make a mistake with, I'm telling you. And impact on passing also, see, I'm not trying to scare you over here, but you have to understand if 100 people took level 1 examination, then out of those 140 had passed. Out of these 40, in level 2, I'm assuming a 40% pass rate, 40, 42, 43 or so. 16 people are going to pass level 2 exam, 40% or 40. Now you people, when you're taking the exam, you are 1 out of 16. And out of these 16, if I take around 40, 45, 50% or so, even if I take 50%, 7 to 8 people are going to be passing this exam. So first of all, you're competing with these 16 and it is again going to be a percentile game. So you have to see as to how you are performing, what is going to be your level as compared to the others. So there is a comparison, there is no doubt about it. So how good or bad you are performing as compared to other people is going to be very, very important over here. And you are not competing with 100, you're competing with 16. Don't get into debates and all that. Some people out of this 100 might have cleared over here and all that. I'm just giving you a very simple logic. So you have to be very, very focused. You can't get overconfident, which I see level 3 students do that. Because content might seem similar because you know duration, you know all the terms and all, but how to apply that, how to write the answers, how to study and all of those things become important, and how to, the concepts, the attempting the questions, case study and all the questions. So the concepts have to be very, very thorough and no selective studying. Gibbs is there, for example. So you have to know how to study because a question in Gibbs is going to be, for example, you've studied Gibbs in level 1, level 2 did not have Gibbs. Now you have Gibbs standards, actual standards and all are there. So you might get a Gibbs statement of a fund house and then you have to check what are the mistakes in that fund house in that Gibbs statement. So you'll have to learn Gibbs in all that way. So don't get complacent, don't get overconfident, I'm telling you. Difficulty level I've already told you, same as level 2. Due to item set is not so much of a challenge, but this is going to be due to as compared to level 2, it is going to be more due to essay type. Because from level 1 to level 2, you've understood to deal with item set. Now level 2 to level 3, you'll have to learn how to deal with essay type questions. Time management, because of the first session, because of the essay type questions, is going to be a very, very big challenge. you will have to complete the paper, and I'll tell you which questions in which order to solve the paper. That is very important. Number crunching is less. I've already told you, I think, this. Unpredictability, so obviously the number of questions are less, and essay type questions are also going to come from absolutely anywhere, so you cannot do selective studying again. And that learning part, I told you, that retention and learning part is going to be important. And those who are absolutely into that WhatsApp spelling and KEWL, cool dude type of people, please get very clear. Have, has and all these things, verb and all these grammatical errors, obviously they'll not penalize you for grammatical errors, but at times people make such errors where the meaning of the sentence changes. In that case, obviously you're going to be penalized and you're not going to be given marks. So please understand that. Unpredictability, as in anywhere the questions could turn up. Range for the subjects also, there is more integration of the chapters and all. So when you're looking at the subjects across, there is less line. Like in level 1 I knew quants is this, equity is this, or economics is this, and portfolio is absolutely separate. But here you'll see economics, portfolio are going to be merging together. As I told you, the impact of economic variables on asset classes, valuation of different securities, on how your portfolio could be impacted and all. So that is very cohesive when you're studying for the exam. So am I repeating this or what? With respect to L2. Sorry, I forgot to change this. With respect to L2, so similar time for studying, I told you. Practice more important, timing part. I've already told you that in essay type questions, we'll start timing ourselves from the very beginning in order to improve our time management skill. Difficulty level is going to be same, I've told you. Practice is going to be, you have to see the timing, the approach of practice. Essay type questions, more essay type questions we'll have to practice. The tricks, the mistakes sheet and all that we used to do in level 2 and all. I'll explain all this to you when we do the how to study and how to practice lecture. There is a how to study and how to practice lecture. There we'll be discussing. Confusing, I told you that there is going to be a lot of integration between chapters. So I'm going to tell you how to manage that also. So how to approach that integration of the chapter, the interrelationships. I'll tell you that when we do the how to study and practice lecture, when you start your preparation for the exam. How to approach the questions, the essay type questions and all, conceptually you have to be very strong. Order of study, now what happens is in level 1, order of study was very important because too many interrelationships between the chapter. Level 2, it was not so much of an issue except for 1 or 2 chapters where some Black-Scholes-Merton model was required in one of the fixed income chapters. Other than that, I've barely seen any interrelationship that if you don't do this chapter, you can't do this chapter. So level 2 was pretty okay that way. But in level 3 again, because there are a lot of chapters which is interconnected, so the flow of chapter becomes important and you are going to strictly follow the order of study that I provide. Again, retention issue, theory, practical, numerical, which chapter is going to have a problem in memorizing, or not memorizing as a mugging up, but learning. So we'll do it towards the end. And relationships are there between chapters. And there are certain chapters you need to do before because you have to practice. Practice reminds me, IPS questions, investment policy statement, RRTTLLU. You'll have to solve these questions, you'll have to make these statements and all, and it is going to be quite challenging, just the way ethics used to be confusing. It is still confusing when you're marking the answers, options between questions in ethics. Similarly over here, above average, below average, or above average, below average, you'll not be confused. Above average, average, you could be confused. So answering questions IPS could be a little confusing, and a lot of practice is needed around IPS. So order of study is also made accordingly. Like you have to do behavioral finance before you do IPS practice. So the order of study again becomes important. Your focus level, your EQ has to be very good, because obviously as you move up a level, I'm assuming you'll have more responsibilities in terms of college getting done, or in case you're a working professional, in that case also, most of you guys are going to be working. Level 3, almost all the 80% plus students are going to be working only. So you know, your focus and your EQ and your responsibilities and your family responsibilities, etc. also increase. Tricky question, distractors are going to be there, obviously in your item set, just the way it used to be in level 2. So in level 2 also, if you get a wrong answer, level 1 also, distractor used to be there. If you're getting a wrong answer by approaching a question, if you make a silly mistake, or if there is one confusion, so if you solve the sum with the incorrect approach, whatever incorrect answer you get is going to be one of the other options. So out of 3 options, 1 option is correct, the other 2 options are not randomly given. Whatever mistake you will make and whatever answer you will get, that is going to be one of the options. And essay type questions, again, it's going to be again for time consuming. And even in essay type questions, we have a lot of calculation intensive questions. When you're doing required return calculation, required return is not that RE, RF plus R minus RF beta. This RE will be required return from the portfolio that an investor is requiring in order to make sure that he's able to meet all his future obligations, his goals and all. So those things. these things is discussed in other sessions. So there has to be a 6 months gap. So if you've taken one exam in May, for example, you'll be able to take in November. So May, November, twice a year you can take the exams. More cities, more centers are there, so you have more scheduling options and windows and all. Also, at what time to schedule the lectures, the exam, that also I have told you as to based on morning person, etc. and all those things. I've told you that what will be an ideal time to schedule your exam, and all those things is there in your app. Passport fees and all these things, registration deadline and all is there in the institute's website. And the last part is charter. So obviously once you're done with your level 3, you're going to be applying for your charter. You need to have 3 years of experience. 4 years has been reduced to 3 years. See, when you are attempting level 1 exam, when you're enrolling for CFA, you can be a graduate, you can be in the final year of graduation, as in your level 1 has to be during final year of graduation. And all those things are there. Experience, you could also have 4 years of experience, 4 or 3 years. They've given all those things I've discussed in the eligibility lecture. Now, after you are done with CFA, you need to have finance-based experience in order to get charter. And the experience need not be that you have to be an equity analyst or only a fund manager. Even if I'm teaching finance, that qualifies for the charter. So you have to see how finance is going to be used, as in how you're applying finance and financial knowledge, be it your business, be it your job, whatever it be. So in order to get your charter. So charter details are there, charter details are provided. So it'll be there in your app once you start studying for level 3. So you can always, once your level 3 is over, completed, you're going to be applying for charter also. So yeah, that's more or less about it when we are looking at the transition as when you move from CFA level 2 exams to level 3 exams. So these are the things that you'll have to keep in mind. And anyways, more details, exam mentoring folder you already know. Otherwise, there's another lecture there is about the classes and all. Exam mentoring will have your how to study, how to practice, how to attempt essay type questions and all those things, and how to attempt the exam and all. So those things are anyways going to be there. So essay type questions is going to be something that is going to be a major change, and the integrated approach of the different chapters and all, IPS, creating IPSs and all. So these are the things that we are going to be looking at in terms of as you move towards level 3 curriculum, and very application oriented, less numerical but application oriented. So start connecting, start reading more. I know now, by now you people would be knowing how much I push you people into reading and applying and working on yourself beyond your curriculum. So you'll have to start doing those things even more voraciously, because level 3 is over, you're completed, you're going to be applying, you're going to be shifting jobs, maybe you're going to be escalating, scaling up, getting promoted, etc. So it is very important that you start working on all the areas now, right? This is more or less about it for CFA level 3 exams.